Serie A predictions. Let's go. Right, so I'm going to go through the European places and the relegations. I'm not going to go through the whole table. In last place and relegated, I'm going to go with Lecce in 19th. I'm going to go with Cagliari. Cagliari's squad just simply isn't ready for the Serie A, and I think Lecce, they've not quite made the right signings. Lecce have signed quite a few players, but a lot of the players they've signed from lower leagues or from abroad. They haven't signed too much Serie A experience, so I'm worried about them. And I'm going to go with Salernitana to also get relegated in 18th, with Frosinone and Genoa both surviving. I just think two sides. I think Frosinone were excellent last season, and they've already made a good start by beating Atalanta in their second game. And Genoa were a staple of Serie A for many years before they got relegated, so I think they can bounce back and put in a solid finish. I think Salernitana really struggled last season, and I don't think they'll be able to change that form. In 7th, getting the Conference League spot, I'm going to put Atalanta. They've obviously lost Højlund. They've also lost a bunch of key players, including Malinowski, Demiral, Jeremy Boga, Joaquim Mela, and they haven't really replaced them adequately. They've brought Scamacca back to the Serie A, and they've also brought in De Ketelaere on loan from AC Milan, but I just don't think they've made enough signings, especially defensively, so I think they'll drop down to the Conference League. In the Europa League spots, I'm going to go with Roma and Bologna. I think Bologna have made some very strong signings, the likes of Carlsen from AZ Alkmaar and Stefan Bosch from Hoffenheim. Very solid signings. I like their squad. You know what? I think they can cause a surprise or two. And Roma could get Champions League football, but I think their squad is still going to struggle a little bit with European football still. A Europa League hangover after losing the final to Sevilla, and they've lost some of their players such as Ibanez to Saudi Arabia. However, I think they have recruited really well. The likes of Renato Sanchez, Ivan Ndika, really good signings, really shrewd signings, as well as Asmoon on loan from Bayer Leverkusen. Could score in at least 10 goals. In 4th, I'm going to go with Juventus, and I know financially they're a mess right now, but they still have a squad more than capable of challenging for Champions League football, and provided they don't get a points deduction, they will get Champions League football, I have no doubt about it. In 3rd, I'm going to go with Inter Milan. Now this might be a surprise because Inter have recruited pretty well. They've signed Marcus Thuram and Juan Cuadrado on frees, as well as bringing back Alexis Sanchez, and they've also signed some solid players in Jan Sommer and Marko Arnautovic on loan, as well as recruiting good youth prospects such as Bisek and Aslani. But I think their squad, they've lost a lot of players such as Onana, Pinamonti, Brozovic, Gosens, all key players in their run to the final of the Champions League last season, as well as Edin Dzeko, who has gone to Fenerbahce. I think they'll struggle a little bit, but they'll still get Champions League football. Right, so in 2nd, I'm going to go with the current Scudetto champions Napoli. I think there's a Scudetto winner every season in Serie A nowadays, so I have to pick someone who isn't Napoli. Napoli have only really lost one player in Kim Min-jae to Bayern Munich, and they've lost a couple of French players, but their squad is pretty much the same. Still Kvara is still there, Osimhen is still there, but they haven't really recruited too many players. Both Raspadori and Simeone were on loan last season and have signed permanently. They've signed a couple of young players such as Cajuste, Capril and Nathan, who are all no doubt talented, but signing youth, it could work like it did for Kvaradona, but I'm not so sure. I think they need to sign 1 or 2 more players with key experience to retain their Scudetto. Right, so in 1st, and I'm going with AC Milan, just because the likes of Leao and new signings such as Samuel Chukwueze and Yunus Musa are fantastic additions in my opinion, and I think Pulisic could really thrive away from Chelsea, getting regular game time. They've recruited well in youth as well, getting Luca Romero on a free, as well as getting Noah Okafor from RB Salzburg, who impressed in the Champions League last season. I think they can win the Scudetto again. My surprise team of the season, I'm going to go with Bologna, but from Verona too. And disappointment of the season, I think Lazio losing their best player Milinkovic-Savic, and Immobile is no longer the goal scorer he once was. They'll really struggle. That's the end of the video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.